I'm excited to chat with Michael Gardiner, founder of DFY Meetings, a B2B lead gen company, and also Grow B2B, consultation and training academy that helps entrepreneurs and freelancers build their own solid cold outbound systems. Hey, Michael, thanks for joining us today. And what are you up to these days?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. In terms of what I'm up to, just arrived in Chiang Mai, Thailand, where we're both based and getting settled in. So no cool background right now, but give it a month and it'll be there.
Let's jump straight into your story. How did you start DFY Meetings? What led you to start DFY Meetings? And how did you land your first client?
So DFY Meetings was not even one of the first 10 business ventures. A very abbreviated history is I started an influencer marketing agency in 2014 before that really was a thing. And a lot of our clients were from outbound, Instagram DMs and cold email in particular. That got me into cold email, but just doing it for my companies. I was able to eventually sell that influencer marketing agency, had a few other companies. Some did well, most didn't, just like anybody. And then eventually upon selling the last company, I was like, oh, what should I do? And I've been getting via cold email or just outbound in general for the most part. And that led me to start Done For You meetings. Now, the thing is, I'm sure same for you, when you've been in the agency world or just in the online business world for a long time, getting your first couple clients is no longer hard because you just tell your friends your new offer and they normally end up paying you.
And which niche was it in your first client?
First client was they did ads for kitchen and bathroom modelers. For some agencies, I was niche specific. For Done For You meetings, our clients are pretty broad.
What pivots have been the most crucial decisions that you've made building DFI Meetings to where it is right now?
One thing I think was timing. There's a lot of cold email, like B2B lead gen agencies right now, but in like late 2019, early 2020, when I started, there weren't that many. Cold email was a little bit less mainstream, a little bit less popular, and a little bit less accessible. AI has made cold email more accessible, but also more competitive. So timing was a big part of it. I also had really nice case studies going in because my own companies were my own case studies. And even some of our clients, like they were their first case study, and I think that's always a really strong selling point. In terms of pivots, I think the most important thing was timing. The second thing I would say that was like really big in our growth was I was one of the, not first, but I was one of the earlier people talking about cold email on YouTube, which gave me a really nice boost.
Do you get a lot of your leads through YouTube as well?
Yeah, YouTube is probably our second biggest client acquisition stream.
Let's move into strategies and offers. What do you think makes a truly irresistible B2B offer, and why do most businesses get it wrong?
Yeah, so my take on offers is a little bit different because I think that in cold email, offers have been kind of played out a little bit. A lot of people think that like some crazy claim of a risk reversal is going to have them do well in cold email, maybe in certain industries, but normally I'd even say no. So when I consider like what does really well in cold email from an offer and service standpoint, I think two things. First, there are some services that just don't have competition or they have tons of demand. Like take SEO agencies. You can definitely do well with SEO for cold email, but it's certainly not the case where like businesses are struggling to find somebody who can do SEO for them. There's a lot of options. We do have some clients that sell services or products where there is virtually no competition and there is like more demand for the product or service than the other way around. So those are the best people to do campaigns for. Now, they're normally not in the online business world. A lot of times they're in construction, manufacturing, logistics. Those are generally our best performing at a service level. It's not even an offer, it's just a service. When it comes to the actual online marketing space, let's say, SEO agencies, ads agencies, consultants, less about offer, more about social proof. So for example, if you're a Facebook ads agency, like, realistically, your offer is probably not special. You might think it is, but it's probably not. Other people to have the same offer. What can make you stand apart is having a following, having dozens of case studies, having a few case studies of massive names, being certified partners of tools your clients are already familiar with. Social proof is really the currency of like competitive marketing offers when it comes to cold email.
That's one of the first things I picked up when I signed up for Grow B2B, and you guys were really insisting on us building a really solid social profile. And in fact, it was one of the reasons I became more active since last year, building my social profiles and trust. What do you think are your top analysis when it comes to diagnosing a cold outreach campaign? If, let's say, one of your clients is running a campaign and it's not converting well, what are first things that you look into to diagnose what's causing the issue?
Yeah, good questions. First thing we want to know is it technical? Meaning emails and spam. Because if emails are in spam, we can't judge anything. So if we have over a 1% reply rate, we know pretty confidently that at least most of our emails are in the inbox. That's not a 1% positive reply rate. That's just 1% of people could even be telling you to go away. That's just 1%. Then we look at our bounce rate. Are our emails bouncing back, which means are we sending to invalid email addresses? If that's under 3%, we know that's not a huge issue. Next thing we look at is lists. Are the people on our list who we want them to be? So meaning, was there an error in list building where we want to target supplement brands, but we targeted supplement manufacturers or supplement retailers, right? So assuming that we have a low bounce rate, our list is made of who we want it to be, and assuming we have good deliverability, then we know it's going to be something else. Now, what else could it be? It could be that our copy is bad. Maybe it's too long or too short. It could be that there's not enough social proof. It could be that maybe there's a silly mistake, like the domain doesn't route to the website. That's when we can actually get in and test the creative part of it. The way I address testing creative is a little bit different depending on the company. If you are a pure startup, it's harder to say because you don't know what pain points have, you don't know what solutions resonate. But most of our clients, like, they've done outreach, they have successful marketing, they do well. In that case, we're typically going to compare our cold email campaigns to successful email, maybe ad campaigns or cold calling campaigns or LinkedIn, and try to figure out the disconnect. If we get really stuck, what we'll do is we'll just break down all the different pain points, all the different solutions, and we'll run them as isolated campaigns to see which ones get more traction.
Now, while you're talking about these, making sure your list is correct, do you also go into, segmentations of the list? Like, for example, having a totally different offer or copy for a particular region, like a city, or having a totally different copy for male leads versus female leads, something like that. And do you think it makes a difference?
So our entire cold email strategy is built around segmentation. We don't do like AI personalization or SDR level personalization. It's all built on a segment. Segments for us can fall into two categories. We have some segments that we call logical segments, which might be we're targeting a kitchen and bathroom model, or we have a kitchen bath case study. That makes sense. Or we're offering backlinks to somebody and we're filtering by people we know have actively invested in SEO based on the software we're using. So we're either doing a logical segment or we do what's called a personal segment. Personal segment is like you're targeting companies that are in Chiang Mai and you're in Chiang Mai. So all of our campaigns are built around a segment. And to your question of like location, sometimes if it's relevant, right? A lot of times, like if you're targeting US wide, people don't really care where you are in a state, but maybe it does make sense. Maybe you're selling some type of like regulatory compliance audit service to help people pass the inspection. That probably would be on like a state by state level. So state by state segmentation makes sense. We're also doing this on an employee title level. If you're sometimes the same thing to a company will have different benefits to a CTO, CFO, CIO, and CEO, right? So if there is a different benefit on a title level, we will do different campaigns by titles as well.
And while you were talking about, building a solid social proof to back up your campaigns, you've also mentioned, case studies where you've been running some out-of-the-box campaigns for clients, offering, small level of offers, but they are scaling at a very big number. Would you mind sharing some, case studies of some offers that have run off the bat without having any sort of trust factor or social proof?
The example you're referring to is we did work for a social media marketing agency that didn't really have that unique of an offer. We were able to book them around 300 meetings a month. And the conclusion was reach out to hundreds of thousands of people at an extreme volume.
Are you still working with those guys?
They actually have sold.
What was the conversion rate for them? They were booking 300 meetings a month.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's like 700 or 800 people they had to reach out to for a meeting. They were compromising quality of campaign and volume of campaign, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it worked and it was profitable. So in their case, the conclusion was we would rather spend more on meetings and get more meetings, but no, we have lower quality of campaigns as to do lower volume, higher quality. This is not the answer for most people, but it was the answer for them.
And when do you decide volume versus quality is going to work differently?
Commoditized stuff, a lot of times volume makes sense, like social media management, insurance, healthcare type offers. If you're selling something that's like very commoditized. Normally volume is the answer.
Do you think you can launch an offer or a service with barely any budget and run a cold outreach campaign for less than $100?
Yes. Your best bet though is just like handwriting emails. I've seen this before where people have like no budget and they're like trying to be all creative and smart about how they can use free trials of tools. It's like, dude, if you have no budget, the assumption is going to be you have plenty of time. If you have no time and no budget, tough luck. But you probably have plenty of time, or at least you should be able to find 5-6 hours a day, even if it's not just handwrite emails at that point, right? Cold email can be free, right? You can, because it's not even so much cold email at that point. If you handwrite 10 really good, completely custom, super contextualized emails from your Gmail address, and you do that for a month, you are going to get some meetings. So if someone has that small of a budget, I think rather than like playing around with like what's the cheapest software I can get or what free trial can I exploit, just do handwritten emails. It's going to work.
And when it comes to this cold outreach copy, right? What do you think is a common mistake B2B agencies or the B2B agency department for businesses make a lot?
I have a checklist. It's like 40 things that we check for in our copy. I'll give you 3 that I see really common. One is the I versus you ratio. A lot of people like to write about themselves too much without realizing that no one cares. So we try to make sure our copy is very focused on the prospect, not on us. Second, ties into social proof, which is not using enough social proof in their copy. People have great case studies and they either don't mention them or they try to mention them in a really vague way, like we helped a business. Like, no, you helped. What's the name of the business? What was like the tactical percentage increase? And I think the third one would probably be just being too long. Again, there's a lot of things, but a lot of people say, they want to have 8 paragraphs because they do this service and they have this achievement. It's like emails are read on phones, like social proof, extreme clarity for what you do, extremely clear call to action, and anything else is just unnecessary.
Do you think the length of the email makes a difference? Because there are 2 different schools of thoughts, where one says that you should have really short to the point email, and the other one that says, you put in the effort, you be as descriptive with value without adding fluff to show that, you've put in your research and your effort into writing that email. What's your take on that?
My testing has always shown that short but not vague does best. However, like with anything of marketing, there's always like left field campaigns. I have run like 10 paragraphs that have done well. It's just not my norm. So when we do cold email for people, what I normally say is let's start with what we know works. And then once we have something that we know works and it's running, then let's have fun and try some long copy, funny copy, maybe an image in the copy, But let's do that less conventional stuff after we have some traction.
You've not been limited into cold email outreach. You have been testing new strategies to book calls or meetings for your clients. Do you mind sharing some out of the box or new strategies that you've played around with or are already offering?
I'll answer this in 2 parts. First, for marketing, when you're first starting out, you shouldn't do too many channels at once because you can get overwhelmed. But eventually, when you have a team and processes, you can do a lot of channels. Like we're a cold email agency, but we do SEO, we do ads, we do organic content, we have partner accreditations, we have referral partners, right? Like a bunch of things. Now, to your point, we have just been doing cold email for service for a very long time. However, recently we've started 2 new offers that have both been in beta and they've both been doing quite well. One is Upwork management and one is mail. I think for this conversation, mail might be a bit more relevant. It's way less common, but I have always used direct mail to get clients for myself. It's always worked really well. I started it back in like 2014, 15. And recently, I wanted to kind of diversify our service a little bit. And we set up a very small fulfillment center in the US. And we've been doing mail for clients. It's funny because as everybody competes for like the coolest AI tool or the coolest gimmick, like mail is virtually unused, especially when you do it right. And it's been crushing.
I recently saw an AI startup that tagline is "Stop hiring humans," and they did a personalized cake delivery to land leads. They were delivering personalized cakes to companies around them to just land a booking with them. So it's crazy.
It shows like competence, creativity, effort. And especially if you're in a really competitive space, I mean, it just cuts through the noise. One thing I really like about it too is logistically, it's very difficult for people that don't have access to the US, which eliminates a lot of the competition pool. Take US companies. If you consider everybody pitching marketing to US companies, I would bet Americans pitching to Americans is like 20% of a total noise because you have literally every continent that wants US clients. Now with mail, if you're in the Philippines, tough luck. Like you need to know somebody. So that's one of the cool things about it too. It literally has like, you talk about having a moat around our service. Like we have an ocean around our service to a certain extent.
And do you think the response rate is quite high with mail service? Because how do you get them to, respond to it? What's your CTA like? Do you put in scan QR codes or emails?
QR code. Yes.
QR
so
code.
we have that in the signature. We'll write our client's phone number or our phone number, but we also have a QR code that goes to like a mini landing page that has a quick VSL and a book calendar. And conversion wise, we've only done this for maybe 4 companies at this point. It's a new service for us, but right now we're seeing between 5 to 15 people need to be reached out to get a meeting, which is incredibly high conversion.
Would you mind sharing some basic steps or guidelines for running a physical mail service? What kind of CTA? What kind of format? Does it need to be a letter, be fancy or handwritten? Some basic guidelines for someone who's trying to just test this out in their own company.
I have tried letters. Letters have never worked for me. I only have experience in US market, but in the US, like you do get letters a lot in the mail. Normally like credit card offers or insurance offers or loan offers. So like letters are normally associated with spam. So the way we do it is we do packages. You would have to be kind of a psychopath to like get a package and not open it and throw it away. And even at larger companies, like packages get routed to the right person if it's addressed right. The receptionist, that's literally their job. So we do personalized gifts. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're puns, sometimes they're cool, but we do personalized gifts. We're also trying to like hit on the law of reciprocity where it's like we did something nice for you, do something nice for us. I'll give you 2 examples, one on the less expensive end, one on the more expensive end. On a less expensive end, we have a client that has a software and we asked them for their top 10 pain points and we made like meme stickers that are like based around those pain points. And we send people a handwritten card with like those custom stickers that kind of strike a nerve and they're funny. Now that's very skinny and could fit in a letter, but even then we know letters don't get delivered. So we're sending those in like pun style holographic bubble mailers. Or another end, this one hasn't quite closed. But this one, we're working logistics. We have a client that sells a very expensive enterprise software, and his personal brand is based on kind of being a controversial, loud guy. That's just kind of his marketing. So we're going to be sending people a 4 to 5 foot tall sword that has their company name engraved on the sword with like laser engraving, and it'll be tied to a pun like "Let's cut from a competition."
That's crazy. This is such a brilliant idea of sending personalized gifts. Because if it's personalized, irrespective of whether it is expensive or not, people like receiving personalized gifts. I've seen one of our industry softwares, whenever they send their goodie bags to someone, which is usually some stickers, some diaries, people are always posting about it. And it's free PR. It's excellent personalized PR. So I think it's whether we land clients or not, we'll definitely have some good coverage and PR going on. Do we need to know any policies like with emailing? There's GDPR policies we need to be aware of when running campaigns in EU. With physical mail, are there any standard compliances that people need to be aware of?
So my official answer is not a lawyer, talk to a lawyer. But from my research, it's less restrictive even than email. Like email has always been in a gray area. Again, not a lawyer, but from what my research has suggested, mail is just wide open, especially for sending a personalized gift. Because like normally laws around outreach are like, is there genuine intent, which basically means bulk and unsolicited, or is it not? Where like a personalized gift is quite literally not bulk and it is unsolicited, but it's not bulk. So I don't have too many worries. Also, I'm just considering that like I think most people, even if they're not interested, probably wouldn't mind. For professionalism, I'm trying to avoid residential addresses. So I have like an address verification process I use. I am trying to send to like offices. I don't think it would be the end of the world if someone got a package at their residential address. I just think it's a little bit on the border of invasive, so I try to avoid that.
Right, that makes sense. And since you've been an industry expert in the cold lead gen space, what's your take on cold email outreach versus cold calling versus now physical emails?
So I am agnostic. I believe that every outreach channel works depending on your market. Assuming that your channel is in line with who you're selling to, I believe that virtually everything works. There's pros and cons to each, right? Social media outreach works great if you have a large following. Cold email works great if there's not 10 million people doing it in your industry or you're really creative. Mail seems to work for everybody. Cold calling is fantastic. I take like local service businesses like landscapers. I would say that cold calling makes more sense than cold email. I just know it works better because these guys aren't under email. So every platform works. You just got to consider where your audience is spending their time and which platform you have the most leverage with. I think mail is really interesting because I haven't really found anybody it can't work for, and there's pretty much no competition. I would say the biggest limitation is cost. We do spend a good bit of money on mail. We're not cheaping out. And virtual employees are cool, but we have to pay $26 to $28 an hour for somebody to assemble things in the US. And like factoring a handwritten card, factoring printing, factoring even like cost of driving to Walmart to buy more printer ink one route. Like it takes an hour to go to Walmart, which is $12 in gas and $28 in hourly wages, right? Like, so it does cost more money. It's not insanely expensive, but like that's probably the biggest drawback. But I would say I also like that because I enjoy being able to spend more on other people and knocking out a competition.
What's been one of the most challenging parts of scaling DFI meetings to where it is right now?
We've never struggled with acquisition, so it's never been like acquisition is a problem. I would say the hardest part for scaling done-free meetings to this point has been managing changes in email deliverability. We're quite good at email deliverability, but email deliverability can hit like overnight and be really difficult to manage. So part of the reason we've diversified to Upwork and to mail is just to build a little bit more on like a solid foundation where when there is a deliverability change, we will always be able to figure it out, but it may take us 2 weeks. This way we have diversified revenue. So I would say for us, dealing with deliverability has been the hardest. And we've been able to address that really well and have a great reputation of managing deliverability to ease that burden a little bit. That's one of the reasons mail came in.
Right. You've been talking about Upwork. Do you think established companies, let's say 6-7 figure plus agencies, can still utilize Upwork for getting new clients?
This is what's funny because I think a lot of these companies have too much ego to use Upwork. And that just leaves more room for me. I mean, our largest retainer we've ever closed was $14,000 a month, and that was from Upwork. This year, the two biggest companies I've got as leads from Upwork have been Poshmark and GoDaddy. Upwork has everything. It has enterprise companies, it has small companies, it has medium companies. Like our average retainer is like $6,000 a month, and we still close deals on Upwork. So yeah, it's definitely there. The thing is, you have to weed through like some tire kickers. But I think the main reason larger agencies or even medium-sized agencies avoid Upwork is honestly ego. It's the whole, I'm not a freelancer thing. It's like, well, I don't really care what you call me as long as you pay me. So I'm happy to use it.
Right. So what are you offering as part of your Upwork service? Are you closing in leads or are you helping your clients put up better responses?
Yeah, definitely. So for some people, it's consulting level where we help them get their profile set up. We help them with hiring a VA and training them with their application strategy. Upwork also has ads you can run, which we do run ads on Upwork. For other people, we're managing. We're setting their profile. We're testing out applications. We're handling the bidding process. We're handling their profile ads. So it's very much managed. Like our first client on this is actually an SEO agency, and they closed 2 deals in their first month. One cool thing about Upwork is like it's fast, because people post a job and they want to hire in like a few days, where, if you're on cold email or any other platform, like sales cycles are going to be the length of a normal sales cycle, where Upwork, it's like someone posts, I need backlinks. You respond, I have backlinks. They pay you, it's done. If I was like saying out of every way to get client, is there a way that's easy? Upwork is probably the only acquisition channel that I would say is easy. Mail is not easy. Cold email is not easy. Cold calling is not easy. We're not necessarily hard, somewhere in between, but Upwork is quite easy.
And are you teaching this in your Grow B2B community as well?
So we are just starting to. We have an Upwork coach that does a call once a month, coaches on Upwork. And we also have an Upwork module that's in progress. So we have a coaching call on it, and we have a module that should be released in a couple months.
My last question. What's one thing, if you have to share with founders or business owners, one thing that they should focus on when building a solid outbound lead gen system?
Don't neglect social proof. Like social proof is a lifeblood at anything. Like you want ads to work, social proof. You want cold email to work, social proof. You want mail to work, social proof. We have done a pretty good job collecting social proof, but even looking back, I wish I'd collected more. We definitely had campaigns that could have been case studies that I was too lazy to make into a case study. And years later, I don't have all the stats for those campaigns, right? Like, so collecting social proof, it just makes every form of marketing easier. But, collecting social proof would be my number one recommendation.
And there are a lot of people who are a bit hesitant to put their face out there to put up YouTube videos. It doesn't come naturally. It does take time for some people to put themselves out there on social media. Till the time they are figuring out and trying to be active on YouTube and social media, what are some other ways that they can collect social proof? What are some other ways they can build trust?
Written case studies, partner accreditations, client testimonials, client third-party reviews like on Clutch, Trustpilot, if you're a software company, Capterra, G2, Software Advice, Google reviews. It doesn't necessarily need to be your face in it. Just capturing social proof. Having a face to it does help because trust is at an all-time low, and a face does help. But just as much social proof case study reviews as you could possibly collect. They watched this case study online, and they said it took them, 50 people to get a lead. It's like you're comparing yourself to an agency that has 200 case studies and you have none. Like, it makes such a big difference. I mean, like you and me, when you go on Amazon or Shopee or whatever, like, we don't buy from the vendor that has no sales and no reviews. We just don't, right? Like, it's logically people want to buy from somewhere that's secure. You probably don't go to a restaurant that has a 3-star review average or a restaurant that has no reviews, right? It's the same thing in business. So I think sometimes people neglect to think that way. But in reality, I just try to think, like, what can I do to position my company in a way where if I was a prospect, I would buy from me.
Do you mind sharing a bit about your Grow B2B so that people who are interested to learn through your modules and classes, they can get connected as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So YouTube is where you can find all of my other links. You can find my agency, you can find Grow B2B, you can find Instagram, you can find everything through my YouTube. So if you want to link that, that'd be fantastic. In terms of working together, if you're a 7-figure company that wants to try mail or cold email, DFYmeetings.com would be happy to talk to you. And if you are a startup, or even if you are a more established company and you want to have your own cold email in-house and just want some support and having the right systems plugged in, growb2b.io. I work with people there. We have a course, we have a community, we do group calls, one-on-one calls. It's essentially all the same things in my agency, just in a done with you fashion instead of done for you.